reports or something you do today, you're probably going to put 2021 on something.
I think I already did, Tom.
You think you already did?
Now that you mentioned it, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, because it's just one of those. And remember, it used to go much quicker. Back in the day when everybody wrote checks and everything, by about January 3rd or 4th, you had caught on that it was 2022.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that anymore.
Good point. Good point.
You know, I was thinking back, I had a memory of come up on Facebook, and it was one of my fraternity brothers, and then he reached out and said he'd seen the memory and everything, and I said, yeah, but, you know, it's a good thing we didn't have these memories that would pop up from when we were in college. Because social media, if we'd had social media in the 1990s, I would still be in jail.
Right,
okay?
right.
But some of the things you did while you're in college and everything, and you did, and he goes, yeah, remember how we could write a check for a keg, and then hopefully we'd collect enough money at the keg party so the check wouldn't bounce
to pay for it. Yeah. I might have seen one of those days.
I remember one of my most expensive. You know, I paid at one time. I paid almost $70 for a can of Copenhagen.
You'll have to explain that one, Tom.
Well, I was getting it for I didn't dip. I quit dipping at 17 when it went from $1.89 to $2.11 a can. I was like, not me.
Right.
But my fraternity brother Howie said, hey, you going up to Fast and Easy? I go, yeah. He goes, grab me a can of Copenhagen while you're there. I said, okay. So I wrote the check, and I knew I had enough money to cover the 12-pack, but I didn't have enough money to cover the Copenhagen. But I said, well, I'll get it from Howie, and, you know, I forgot to get the money from Howie. So the check bounced.
Gotcha.
So then Fast and Easy charged me $25 for the check bounce. My bank charged me $25 for the check bounce. Plus the check that bounced was like $10 and something. Because back then, the 12-pack was $6.99. You know.
Right.
So a can of Copenhagen almost cost me $70 in bad checks.
That's an expensive little thing of tobacco.
But you could write checks for everything back then.
Sure. Right.
But it is 2022, and so that leads a new year. What are in the plans for the city or for policing the city? What are some of the hot button items that you are going into this new year knowing need to be addressed?
Well, certainly we'll start with the easy stuff. You know, we're Ocala, Marion County, Florida, right? We're the horse capital of the world, and you have a police department here without a mounted horse unit. You know, as
I saw that the other day, and I was like, you know, that makes a lot of sense what Mike Balken's saying.
Well, you know, it's you got to be careful how you judge a unit like that, right? Typically, when you look at a police officer, a detective, a drug agent, you're basing their level of success on numbers. How many people did you arrest? How many cases did you close? How many kilos of drugs did you get off the street? You know, a unit like a mounted unit, we had one years ago. I actually supervised it as a lieutenant, but they have to be judged differently, and they're really judged on the crime that they prevent from happening. Right now, we have a detail officer assigned to our downtown square. We I think last year spent about $80,000 to cover the cost of that detail officer, and we put them out, you know, varying times of the days of the week to deal with, you know, just general issues, make sure people feel safe, and so that we have a vibrant downtown community people want to come to. And you know, I would love to replace that detail officer with a mounted patrol unit that patrols, you know, the greater downtown area, not just the square, but the greater downtown area where they're a little bit more mobile. They serve a community outreach purpose for us as well. And again, we're in the horse capital of the world, so that is certainly something that's on my radar is developing that.
Did the Segways that we had at one time replace the mounted units?
No, I remember the Segway days. I think that was hey, look at this new shiny toy, and we kind of bought into it. But the bottom line is that was a tool that was brought on just to get people from point A to point B, and nothing, quite frankly, replaced a horse unit. Nothing could. People love animals. They love our canine unit. They loved our horse unit when we had it. When we talk about, we were just talking about this, the issues that have gone on around the country. It's 2022. Community engagement and community outreach is, you know, it's on the forefront of I think most chiefs around the country, and you know, to me that's a great way in which to improve that relationship with our community, is have cops out there on horseback engaging with people, you know, and not through a car window or during a traffic stop. So that certainly in a bigger perspective, looking at again with the growth of the community, what's expected, we're at a point where we have to start looking at growing our overall footprint as an agency, meaning everything from office space to parking to more fleet vehicles to more officers, which is more equipment, more guns, everything. So, when we're talking about strategic planning, we're talking about I have to account for everything. Right now, I'm looking at trying to acquire some more land that would allow for future expansion. That's a big deal for us, and not necessarily for me. It may be for two chiefs down the road, but somebody's got to be looking towards the future. So it's things like that we're looking at, potentially maybe even bringing back the bike patrol, which was a huge success back in the early 2000s. Now that was during the crack heydays,
right,
when everybody on every corner had crack in their pockets. But they serve an outreach purpose too, and they certainly serve a valuable a valuable enforcement tool as well.
I ran the Mellow Mushroom in Gainesville for 4 years.
Right.
And the two things that they have, although I don't like to compare Marion County and Alachua County, two of the things that Alachua County does have an advantage over us in. They have bike units and mounted units. Mm-hmm. And at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, when the nightclubs close down and everything in Gainesville, the bike units and the mounted units are much more effective than the cruisers. Absolutely. Because with all the one-way streets, how the downtown, and our downtown is starting to spread out as well. It used to be square located.
Right.
Now there's 4 or 5 blocks in each direction where there's something to do downtown. And so cruisers with one-way streets and traffic and everything, they can't get through what a bicycle or a horse can get through. And that means faster response times and faster getting results for taxpayers.
That's really it's response times, it's crime deterrence, it's all that. It's preventing a bar fight. It's you patrolling the parking garage at 2 a.m. when a single young woman's leaving a bar. It's all that stuff, and I think it's important. It's minor in the big scheme of things, right? We're talking about a $30-some-odd million budget, but those are the important things that we're looking at, and we've got some meetings scheduled this week and next that are kind of going to kick off that budget cycle, and I really want to take a deep hard look at where we're most effective at, where we're least effective at, and make some changes there. And part of my job obviously is to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayer dollars, and I want to make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck. So if we have some lesser performing units for whatever reason, then we need to make adjustments. So now's the time to start looking at that.
622-9622 is the number to call if you want to talk to the chief, ask the chief any questions. 622-9622. They're 2020 and 2021. I kind of group those in as, even though it's 2 years, it's the same time period because of with the COVID and everything. They kind of run in harmony with each other.
Sure.
If the harmony is, you want to say harmony is the destruction of the commercial aspect of our country and everything, but that's a whole different story. But we also had a rash of shootings. Mm-hmm. And I always said, if Black Lives Matters really wanted to make some points with me, they would go to Sutton Place Apartments and protest the senseless youth that were killed there. Somebody goes, yeah, but he had a gun on him. Gun or no gun, a 15-year-old is dead. Okay, and there's lots of shootings where kids are shooting kids. It's not just in our community; it's all over the country. But we got to get a handle on this, because to me, there is nobody puts an importance on life. Anybody under the age of 20, I think, doesn't put an importance on life anymore, or at least the criminals under 20 put no emphasis on the reality that death is a finality. It's when you die, you're done.
Right.
And it's not just Ocala, it's Marion County, it's Florida, it's the country. But it does seem like that there's been a few times over the past 2 years where kids are killing kids or shooting kids. And this is something that you hear, I deal with and hear about daily, I'm sure.
It's a huge problem. It's more than a few. We had this about a year ago. We had I think that's what you're referring to, a string of shootings of
They were it was in February and March of last year, wasn't
right,
it?
yeah, roughly. It spanned really the course of several months, but yeah,
Retaliatory shootings and everything.
That's exactly what it. Back in the day, you and I are going to high school. We got a problem with each other. We just meet on the at the bus stop or something.
Somebody got whooped. Somebody went home. That was it.
And half the time we were buddies after that.
Yeah.
But there was a lack of importance placed on just, I think, personal accountability. I've got some fundamental beliefs that this problem is going to continue. Right now I think we incentivize folks to have kids. I mean, let's face it, we're paying folks that probably aren't well suited to raise kids. Sometimes they're kids themselves, and we're paying a lot of money for that, basically incentivizing that to happen. And so we've got a bunch of kids raising kids, if they're being raised at all. So half the time our youth end up being raised by the streets, and there's somebody out there to take care of that, and that's the gangs, right? So we do have some gang issues in the city. These small groups of neighborhood friends that when another group comes in and slights them, they're gonna take notice of that, and there's gonna be repercussions. So how it goes is, instead of a fist fight at the bus stop, now I just come by your mom's house, shoot the house up at 2 a.m. You come by my aunt's house, you shoot and this goes back and forth and back and forth. The cops show up, nobody's cooperative, to include the parents, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles. Nobody gives any information. Even when somebody is hit and wounded, we go to the hospital and have a 16-year-old that will absolutely curse out the homicide detective and tell him, I'm going to take care of this myself. Get out of my hospital room. So when you have that you know instantly that case is going absolutely nowhere. That no one's ever going to get prosecuted for that. So then we have to start looking at that victim as a suspect from another crime, and that's how we handle those. We had really, really good success working on those with our federal partners, with gun charges and drug charges on those folks, and getting some time. But again, when you're talking about juveniles, they're not going to be held forever. And we're starting to see an uptick in shootings again.
I know.
Yeah. So, we're trying to get a handle on that now. But it's the same old story, the same groups of kids, same families, same houses, you name it. There's just too many of them to deal with for one agency.
Somebody says, yeah, but the issue here is their ability to get guns. We need more gun control laws. We need more ways to stop people from buying guns. And I would say, well, if that's the case, then the state with the least restrictive gun laws in the country is Maine.
Mm-hmm.
The city with the most restrictive gun laws in the country is Chicago. Maine last year had 11 criminal homicides by guns. Chicago, over the New Year's holiday weekend, had 38 homicides by gun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
right.
In one weekend, they had 3 times as many homicide deaths as they had in Maine all year. And Chicago's got the strictest gun laws in the country, which goes to show gun laws only stop the lawful from getting guns.
It keeps the people honest, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, these kids are getting these guns from breaking into your car. Well, half time they don't even have to break in because you're leaving them unlocked. Yeah, breaking into stores and stealing them, buying them online. We arrested a corrections officer out of Alachua County not just a couple months ago that was making straw purchases for these idiots and giving them the guns. So when you're up against that, that's a problem. So I don't know if it's stricter gun laws. I think this really has to do with personal accountability, people being parents again, really raising their children to do what's right, to respect the law enforcement officers, to I don't know, just to lead a better life, have some personal accountability.
The last time you were here, you brought something up that could help towards this problem. And I know, look, there's single mothers out there and single fathers out there through either death or divorce that are raising kids by themselves, and they're still having to hold down a full-time job because you're still going to make ends meet and everything. And you brought up something that you're going to get, that you're interested in, that you're going to be you're going to push it and try to get more people to come to it, is Big Brother, Big Sister.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's an avenue. We need to get other adults involved, even if it's, Big Brother, Big Sister, something like that. They need adult supervision. When you're 12, 13 years old, if you don't have adult supervision, like you said, the streets become your adult supervision,
right.
And we know how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm excited about that program. I actually, after we talked last time, I just got a notice. I think it was last week that they found a potential little brother for me, and I'll be having a Zoom meeting this week to speak with them about trying to get that wrapped up so I can get started. But I agree. I think somebody's got to raise that kid. Somebody's got to be a mentor at least for our youth. And I hate to say it, but if the parent is either unwilling or unable to do that and do it properly, then yeah, I think there's got to be decent people out there in the community that step up and understand that it's that important. And if we don't, we're always going to have these issues.
It's not my problem, Mike. All that happens over in areas I don't live in. It's in the lower economic areas. No, it's not my problem. Wait, but if Johnny sees Bobby riding down the boulevard with three other guys that Johnny knows are part of Bobby's neighborhood gang, and they disrespected Johnny. Johnny goes driving by. He shoots the car up. He's probably going to shoot your car as well, too, riding right down the boulevard. Yeah. You don't think that happens? It happens all the time.
It happened, something similar to that happened just, I think, a year and a half ago here. I think it was 3 or 4 Auburn guys, driving down the interstate.
Right.
And 3 of them got shot. Just driving down, I don't know what road rage.
On their way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, and but it does happen. It's unfortunate, but things like that do happen. And the bottom line is there was another car full of folks that clearly didn't have the parenting or mentorship that they needed to prevent them from just committing a senseless act that could have certainly killed somebody.
I mean, how lucky were we that shooting, the drive-by shooting that happened in the mall, where the 21-year-old girl and a 17-year-old kid got shot, but the infant that was in the car didn't get hit by a bullet, as the car got sprayed with bullets.
Well, and that was right in front of the food court.
Yeah,
it could have been really bad situation. And but again, that goes back to these back and that was exactly one of those cases of this back and forth retaliatory shooting, and we ended up arresting both of those victims shortly thereafter for various charges, and gun charges included, I believe. So a prime example of you don't think it can affect you until you go to the mall one day.
You're just coming out of the food court, and now you got a bullet in the stomach.
Or you're paralyzed the rest of your life or whatever. So it affects us all, and I think it's an important topic, an important issue for all of us to get around.
We're talking with Police Chief Mike Balken of the Ocala Police Department. If you'd like to ask him any questions, 622-9622 is the number. We'll have him the first Monday of every month, and we're going to try to see if his schedule will let him come in the third Monday of every month, too. But we definitely got him the first Monday of every month. 622-9622 is the number to call. So budgetary-wise, I know you have a good relationship with the city and everything, but you got a new city council you're having to work with.
Yes, sir.
One is an incumbent, Jay Musley. Irie Bethea is there. He had been there already. And one's an old familiar face, Jim Hilty. Mm-hmm. But you do have 2 new faces on the city council. Do you foresee budget requests and all situations where there may be some questions, or is this something that you think you ask for legitimate stuff, you spell it out plainly, and so it usually it should go off without a hitch?
Yeah, when you say will there be questions, I absolutely would hope that a council member is going to ask difficult questions of their police chief when we're talking about this much money, and I welcome that, because the bottom line is, my job is to ask for every single penny that I need to get our job done, and not 1 penny more. That's our stance. So,
or 1 penny less.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's been, you're right. And we've tried to, I think, years past, try to do things on almost a shoestring budget with a skeleton crew, and maybe that was the way to go for the times, but now again with the growth that we're seeing in the community, it's a necessity, and in the end, public safety is expensive. I hate to say it.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but it's one of those things that you really can't afford not to fund. I've met with all the council members, both prior to their elections and then after, and I think I've got a very good working relationship, certainly with the mayor, and I believe with all the sitting council members. And I'd like to think that they're going to ask the difficult questions and then make the right decision based on the needs of the community. And I think public safety is number one.
Well, I'm a person of small government. I'm an actual Republican that doesn't believe that. I understand why the Christian right gets involved and everything, but I think the Republican Party should be just about making sure government is very small. Mm-hmm. Government should do two things for me, maybe three, but two definitely: infrastructure and my safety. That those are the two most, to me as a taxpayer, two most important things they do.
Pick up my trash.
Well, yeah, but that's part of infrastructure, right?
Sure.
Infrastructure and safety. And I can handle the rest. I just need roads, garbage, water, stuff like that, and I need safety.
You want to be able to travel around and work, live, and play in a safe environment, and that's what we want to ensure. And but that correlates to we're looking at when we talk about strategic plans and looking at the future. Again, I mentioned this earlier. We used to wait until the calls got so bad we just couldn't handle it, and then say, hey, we need 3 more cops. Okay, and then a year down the road we get those 3 cops turned out, and by then you know what we needed more of?
3 more cops.
Exactly. Right. So
you're being reactive instead of proactive.
That's it. So and that's back in the day when we looked at, well, how many cops do you really need per capita? You got 65,000 people in Ocala, but that's a really it was a dumb way to look at things, right? When you look at how Marion County's laid out, we have one of the largest, 5th biggest county I think in the state, something like that. It's extremely rural, except for Ocala. A lot of people, the CEP will tell you that we got a population of almost 65,000 in the city, but Chief, you're really policing about 250,000 people on a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
That come into the city,
right?
Of course.
And we don't really. So how do you really account for per capita numbers? Well, you don't. The answer is you got to look at your police officers and say this. You have to look at them and say, in order for you to prevent crime, about 60% of your patrol time needs to be spent on just that, preventative, proactive patrols. Not encumbered by a call for service to come work Tom Schmidt's wreck or going to a burglary.
No, just riding through apartment complexes, riding through neighborhoods.
Deterring crime.
Riding through commercial building areas and everything. Making sure people see the presence so they know, it's kind of like most people aren't going to rob a house that has a sign out that says there's a burglar system on the house.
Right. Or a Rottweiler. Right.
Well, that's what the police basically, your yard is the city, and your guys, for lack of a better term, are the watchdogs that are keeping the perimeter safe.
Right. And on that note, when the industry standard now is about a minimum of 60% of their time on patrol being spent for proactive preventative patrols, we're inverse. We're actually about 70-30 the other way. And that's when we talk about, well, what do you really need, Chief? Well, this is what I need. I need this many cops to change that ratio to at least a 60-40. And you know what I need with the cops? They all need guns. They all need cars.
They all need vests. They all need cameras, radios.
All that, all the stuff that we as a society have placed on them. We've got to be willing to pay for that. So to me, it's an easy sell. Here's the numbers, and I'm a numbers guy, right? I want you to be able to ask me a question and say, okay, Chief, that's what you want. Prove it. And if I can't prove it,
math.
If I can't prove it, then you shouldn't give it to me.
Well, I can prove that you'll be here the first Monday of every month. That's all I got. That's all I got.
There you go.
And we'll work on the third Mondays. We're working on it.
Good luck with that.
I know it's your schedule. It's your schedule. I know. Mike Balken, the Chief of Police for the Ocala Police Department, has been our gracious guest today. First guest of 2022.
It's exciting. It's gonna be
Nobody
a great
can take
new year.
that away.
That's right.
Nobody can take it away now.
Do I get my picture up on the wall? No.
Okay,
I
calm
don't think
down.
so.
Calm down. Okay. They don't even have my picture up on the wall. Have you noticed that? No.
I am seeing that now. Right.
No, and I would be good for pest control. It'd be great if my picture was up. It'd be great. So thanks for coming by, Chief, and thanks for all you do for the community, and keep up the good work.
I appreciate that, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
I know that you, though, say that it's your men and women that keep up the good work. You just live on their coattails.
That's it. That's it. It's boots on the ground. That's they hold me up, and they do a great job day in and day out. If you see one of our cops out there today, thank them.
Well, I will say this then. Congratulations on another successful year, and you still have to deal with Greg Martin, and that's sorry about your luck.
I'm glad at least somebody recognizes my challenges.
Well, it's all about balls and chains, and he's one of yours.
For sure. There you go.
Thanks, Mike. I'll talk to you at least the first Monday of next month.
At least. Thank you, Tom.
We'll take a break now. Come back more on Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source.
USA Radio News with Wendy King.
Thousands of victims from last week's massive wildfire just northwest of Denver are struggling to cope with the loss of everything they own. Colorado Governor Jared Polis.
Nothing can be harder, losing everything you have, not just a house, but a home. And what comes next for you, for your family. There's a lot of soul searching and decisions you'll be making along the way.
The fire destroyed about 1,000 homes and damaged hundreds more. At this time, 2 people are still missing. An investigation is ongoing into what started the fire. Severe weather ravaged parts of the south overnight. High wind damaged some homes, blew down trees, and knocked out power. The storms followed a system on New Year's Day that brought a tornado and serious flooding to Kentucky. This is USA Radio News.
Hi, I'm Wayne Alaroot for Patriot VPN. Patriot VPN is a virtual private network service that uses military-grade encryption to protect your internet connection on all of your devices. With Patriot VPN, your data and internet privacy is secure anywhere in the world. Why do you need Patriot VPN? Cyber criminals, government, even your own internet service provider collect and use your private information without your knowledge. Examples in the news recently, remember all the companies that have been hacked? Cuba censored the internet to kill protests? Here in America, conservative groups are being actively targeted. Your personal information and internet history is being sold by your ISP. It's all happening every day, but not with Patriot VPN. With Patriot VPN, your internet activity and history is protected from prying eyes forever. Patriot VPN is a veteran-owned business right here in the USA. For business or your family, starting at only $6.95 a month, use code WAR and get 3 months free. With an annual subscription, it's all at PatriotVPN.com. That's PatriotVPN.com.
At least 2,000 flights have been canceled and delayed over the New Year's weekend because of winter storms in the Midwest and a reduction of workforce caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of the cancellations began on Christmas Eve. Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, JetBlue Airways, American Air, and United are all among the country's largest. Each had more than 100 flights canceled. Southwest had more than 950 flight delays, the most of any airline. A large fire caused significant damage to buildings in South Africa's Parliament complex in Cape Town. A 51-year-old man had been taken into custody for questioning in connection with the fire, which
Airport. This is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
An interesting and edible way to recycle your holiday tree. That's coming up on This Land of Ours.
Shrimp, grouper, stone crab, oysters, clams. That's just a sample of the great seafood that Florida's Gulf Coast is famous for. Fresh, wholesome seafood caught by fishing families that for generations have taken great pride in their work. No gathering is complete without delicious Florida Gulf seafood fresh from the docks. Remember, when shopping or dining out, ask for fresh from Florida seafood. That helps our state's fishermen and our local economies.
A toast to soil health.
More and more landowners and their farmers are celebrating healthy soil for good reason. Because farmers who use soil health building practices like no-till and cover crops and who use diverse species and rotations report greater farm productivity, profitability, and resiliency. So here's to your soil's health. Contact your local USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service office today and learn how to unlock the secrets in your soil. This message brought to you by USDA and this radio station.
We've covered several ways to recycle your holiday tree on this program, such as turning the tree into mulch. But one alternative we haven't talked about is turning parts of your tree into something you can eat. As long as it's not one of the varieties that's toxic to ingest, of course. A UK-based artisan baker and cook, Julia Jorgalis, recently published a compilation of more than 30 recipes for sustainable cooking with fir, pine, and spruce trees and a new cookbook called How to Eat Your Christmas Tree. In fact, one recipe uses a certain type of evergreen, which makes for an ideal ice cream flavor. Other recipes in the book call for fir and spruce trees. Jorgalis explains that fir is really zesty and really grassy. She has used it in things like pickles and other recipes that call for a sharper taste. The book includes recipes for ferments and preserves, sweet treats, and drinks. I'm Kathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Noticeably cooler weather on the way today. Plenty of sunshine with a high of 65 to 72. Then clear skies this evening. Low tonight 47 to 54. Tuesday will be mostly sunny and pleasant. High tomorrow 71 to 75. Then Wednesday and Thursday both will have sun and some clouds. High Wednesday 75 to 78. Thursday 76 to 78. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Join Gary and Don Crawford of Pinnacle Retirement Advisors for Retirement with Pinnacle, Saturday mornings at 9 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Don't miss Retirement with Pinnacle with Gary and Don Crawford, Saturday mornings at 9. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.